Hi everyone, this is Teacher Roxanne again, and I hope you're doing well and safe at home. Before we dig deeper in our lesson, let us take a short recap of basic concepts in grammar, which is related to our topic for this week. Let us have adverb. How are you going to modify an adverb? Okay, it is a word that modifies a verb, adjective, and another adverb. Let us have an example here. The sentence is, Miho quietly left the kitchen with foods in his hands. What do you think is our verb in the sentence? It is the word left. And what do you think is the word that modifies it? It is the word quietly. Very good. Now, let us move on. What is a phrase? Okay, so it is a group of words that stand together as a single unit. I have here a sentence. Reading the newspaper, Marco was surprised with the headline. The underlined phrase is reading the newspaper, and it stands as a single unit or with one idea. Now that you already recalled about adverb and phrases, let us have a sentence here. Lisa talked with great confidence during the recital. What do you think is the verb in the sentence? That is talked. Very good. And what do you think modifies the word talked? You're right. It's not just a word. It's a group of words. Now, that is what we call phrase. And if we have phrase that modifies our verb, that is what we call an adverbial phrase. Very good. What is an adverbial phrase? It is a group of words that acts as an adjective. Now, in the previous sentence, our adverbial phrase is with great confidence. And as you can notice, it starts with the word with, which is a preposition. We can say that this phrase is also a prepositional phrase. But since it modifies our verb, it can also be called as an adverbial phrase. Often, prepositional phrase with a preposition such as in, with, near, between, onto, acts as an adverbial phrase. I want you to open your workbook on page 242 to 243. You can also open your website in Alpha. Let us have an example from your workbook, page 242. Then the lizard crawled into a crack in the rock and returned with a very sharp dagger. We have two adverbial phrases here. The first adverbial phrase answers the question, where did the lizard crawl? And the answer is into a crack. That is our adverbial phrase. Second question, how did the lizard return? And the answer is with a very sharp dagger. Now, our adverbial phrases are into a crack and with a sharp dagger. Now let us have more examples from your workbook. Let us have the first sentence. The two boats stopped in the ocean. Our adverbial phrase is in the ocean, which modifies the word stopped. Now, the first word in adverbial phrase is in, which helps you tell its function, and it is to tell where the action happened. Let us move on to the second sentence. During the winter, the fish swim. Our adverbial phrase is during the winter, which modifies our verb swim. Now, our first word in the phrase is during, which helps you tell its function again. And its function is to tell when the action happened. Next one. He speaks with a very low voice. And our adverbial phrase is with a very low voice. It modifies our verb speaks. Now, the first word in our adverbial phrase is with, and it tells how the action happened. And the last sentence is, we stayed home because of the storm. Our adverbial phrase is because of the storm, which modifies the verb stayed. Now, the first word in the phrase is because, and it tells why the action happened. I hope you understand what is an adverbial phrase, because this time we are going to have an activity. I want you to open your workbook again. So what you're going to do is to read the excerpts from The Little Black Fish, then underline the adverbial phrase in each sentence, and draw an arrow to the verb it modifies. In the box below, you're going to enter whether it tells where, tells when, how, or why to indicate how each adverbial phrase functions in a sentence. Now let us have the first sentence. At the bottom of the sea, an old fish gathered together 12,000 of her children. Now, underline the adverbial phrase. Which do you think is our adverbial phrase? That is, at the bottom of the sea, which modifies the word gathered. Gathered is our verb in sentence. Now, what do you think is the function of our adverbial phrase? It is to tell where. Very good. How about the second sentence? The little fish swam down the waterfall. Can you guess what is our adverbial phrase? That is down the waterfall. Very good. And it modifies the word swam. Alright, swam is our verb which is modified by down the waterfall. What do you think is the function of our adverbial phrase here? Alright, it tells where. Next. The pelican cried out in pain and smashed his head. Can you identify our adverbial phrase? That is in pain, which modifies our verb cried. Very good. Now, what do you think is the function of the adverbial phrase in the sentence? That is to tell how. Now, let us have our next activity. On this part, you're going to write 3 sentences about the little black fish using the types of adverbial phrases indicated. Let us have the first one. You're going to have adverbial phrase that tells when. Again, it tells when. That means time. You can have different answers in the website or in your workbook. Next one, adverbial phrase that tells where, which refers to place. And the last one, adverbial phrase that tells how. Now, if you're done with your workbook, your next activity is to answer your grammar supplementary pages 30 to 33. I hope you can answer them all correctly. Have a nice day.